Beginning was just me reading fan fiction. I've always read fan fiction from Twilight, Harry Potter, back to like Live Journal Hansen days. I've just always loved fan fiction. So I saw on Instagram where people were writing One Direction fan fiction, and I was the only one of my adult friends who liked One Direction's music. And I was like, what is this? Somebody's writing fan fiction about One Direction. And then I realized it was not only, young girls, it was grown women, it was grown men, it was this whole world of fan fiction that I didn't know existed. So then I joined Wattpad to read it. I never thought about really writing it myself. I just wanted to read on Wattpad. And then one day I felt like I'd read everything on Wattpad, which is obviously not true because there's millions of stories. But just nothing was finished or catching my eye, and I only wanted to read fan fiction about One Direction specifically. I refused to read any like published books or anything. So then I just was like, I'll just write a chapter. It was literally this random thought. Like, I'm glad I didn't think about it again, otherwise I would have never done it. But I was like, maybe I'll just write a chapter and entertain myself. So I did, and then it was about 3 months later when it really started picking up. It was picking up in the beginning, but it just like crashed the website and all of these things. And then Wattpad reached out to me about publishing and asked if I ever thought about it. And of course I hadn't, because I'm like, people publish Harry Styles books? Like, what is that? And then I went to Wattpad, and then we went and met with publishers. The book went to an auction. I got to choose the editor and publishing house that I wanted, which is literally like a writer's dream come true, which before this I thought that every writer gets to have that luxury, which is definitely not reality, unfortunately. And Simon & Schuster picked it up, and here we are. They call themselves afternators. In the beginning, they called themselves toddlers, but we were like, let's not do that, because it's like, yeah. So afternators stayed, and then in Spanish, they call themselves afterianas, which is really cute, obviously. And their influence has just been, one, just kind of like this sea of fish that's like a friend for me. Their influence from the comments in the beginning, just making me write the next chapter. Like, I can't wait for the next chapter, or if you don't update, I'm going to never read this again, or I'm gonna find out where you live, or what, just like the most passionate. But they really, having all these people say like, I need another chapter, really did help me write so fast. That's, I think, the reason why I wrote 1 million words in a year, because I didn't even know how many words I was writing. But there's just something about this positive group of people who just want to read it just because they want to know what happens. And it felt like they were as much owner of the story as I was, because we were doing it together. The story of After, really, the short version is just two unlikely people, one college freshman named Tessa Young, who comes in a very tropey way from a sheltered life, single mother, kind of struggling to get by. Their goal was to always have her be in school, get to college, have a career. That's the whole goal. And then you have Hardin Scott, who doesn't really have any goals. He's smart. He's like gifted in that way, where he just kind of skated through. But he was very angry, kind of lost person. And they're both lost in their own way. She thinks that she is an adult and she's not. And he thinks that he is an adult and he's not. And they just make a lot of mistakes together and separately until they finally figure it out. To me, it's just who these people are after they meet each other, and how every little thing, every choice you make, every person you meet can change you in some way. And for me, it just was how they are after each other. Even if you've never heard of this before, or me, or read any of my books or any books, I think you'll just get that same feeling of the old time love story from Pride and Prejudice, from Wuthering Heights, from She's All That, even Cruel Intentions. I think it has that nostalgic feeling of a love story, but very modern, and painful and angsty and happy. And I think if you have heard of me and have read my books and are wondering what you're gonna see the same story that you loved, just with a couple surprises in there that I think you'll really love. And I hope that you'll even love the movie just as much, if not more, as the books.